Hey everyone, it is Erin Chung, and I teach modern real estate agents how to generate leads online, nurture relationships at scale, and dominate any local market that they choose. Today, we are talking all about the biggest untapped revenue source in your real estate business. But before we dive in, I want to encourage you to comment on this video, subscribe if you're listening on social media, or review if you're listening on the podcast. We talk a lot about rankings and algorithms and all those kind of things. And when you comment, where you review, you subscribe, those types of things, it actually helps out a lot in the algorithms with our ranking and all of the stuff that I teach you guys about. It helps us. So help a sister out. Please make sure that you're doing all of the above, and I would really, really appreciate it. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into today's content. Now, when I first became an agent, a seasoned agent in my office, he told me, and this guy had been around for years, okay? He told me that his coach told him that the best way to generate real estate leads was to knock on doors literally all day, every day. And he did. And he had been in business for years, okay? But here's the catch. What he said was, if you knock on a door, someone answers, the whole point is to get their contact information. And he did. Now, if through the conversation he realized that that person wasn't ready to buy or sell yet, what he would do is literally ball up that contact information and throw it in the trash and move on to the next house. His whole philosophy was, if the person's not ready to buy or sell right now, then there's no point in following up with them, because following up is a total waste of his time. Now, I get it. I do. And as a new agent, I was thinking to myself, like, I'm struggling to get leads, and yet this guy is like balling up pieces of paper and throwing them in the trash. Now, how many of you guys if you're on social media and you're watching this, comment below and tell me, like, who would love to, if you saw this guy out door knocking, just follow behind him and pick up all the pieces in the trash that he was leaving behind? That's how I felt as a new agent. I really did, honestly. And I couldn't believe it. I was mind blown over that. And the reason why I'm bringing this up today is because some of you guys are thinking like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. That's like a crazy strategy. However, it's not actually that ridiculous. And I guarantee you that you're doing this in some way, shape, or form. And it always shows up. It shows up all the time. It shows up, like, you may not be throwing actual physical pieces of paper with leads on the paper in the trash, but it shows up in the ways where you're constantly trying to market just to the people who are like ready to buy or sell right now. It shows up when people email my team and they want to demand exactly how fast it's going to take them to generate their first lead. It shows up when we demand that someone works with us, that we meet on the street or at an open house, or someone who calls about a listing or something. We demand that we work with them, and they don't even know us. We've never built a relationship. We don't even know their name. We don't know anything about them, and yet we're demanding to work with them. Like, it's crazy to me how this shows up all the time. It shows up when people use those insane strategies about follow up until they buy or die, like 10 days of pain, all of that stuff. It shows up. Okay. And the problem with this strategy is the fact that the natural progression that every single buyer goes through is you go from just thinking about it to actually deciding to move forward and purchase. Think about the last car you bought. Think about the last home you bought. Think about the last widget you bought. Every single thing that you do when you're buying something, you go through a natural progression of point A, which is thinking about it, to point B, which is, okay, I'm going to do it. And you actually whip out your credit card and put the money down. Okay. So the fact that most people are marketing to the people at the bottom of the funnel, the people who are ready to go right now, that's only 20%. The 80% are the people who are still in the I'm thinking about it phase. And we need to give them time. It's not fair to force them to make a decision, because this is the biggest financial decision that they're ever going to make in their entire life. And we can't take that lightly. Okay. You really need to focus on not just the 20 who are ready to buy right now. You need to focus on 100% of your leads, because if you don't, you're leaving 80% of your revenue on the table. 80%. Okay. So follow up is so important, and the fortune is often in the follow up. A lot of times when we are marketing online and building relationships online, we tend to forget every single social construct that has governed your entire life since birth. Okay. I don't know what it is. The minute we get behind a computer, behind a laptop, or on a phone, all of it just goes out of the window. And that's not reality. That's not life. Like you're not going to change human behavior over one text message, okay? So here's how it works, okay? You have to think about your marketing like dating, all right? So yes, you could meet someone in line at Starbucks and ask them to marry you, but would you? Probably not. And would they say yes? Probably not. Possibly, but not probably, okay? When you are demanding that someone work with you that you literally just met on the street, it's the same exact social construct at play. You can't just ask that person to marry you or ask that person that, to hire you right on the spot. You haven't even built a relationship with that person. So I feel like, again, once we're behind a computer or marketing online, like that stuff just goes out of the window, and it's like that's not how life is. That's not there's much more precedence for a social construct of getting to know people, building a relationship, and then deciding to work with someone than just hiring someone right on the spot or marrying someone right on the spot, right? That's not life. That's not how it works. Just because you're behind a computer, it doesn't change human behavior, okay? So follow up with the 80%. No, don't just focus on the 20% who are ready to go right now. Because again, the fortune is in the follow up, my friend. The fortune is in the follow up. So the question becomes not, should we follow up with these 80% of our leads, but how do we follow up with these 80%? And this is one of the questions that I get the most often, especially from students in my academy who are generating hundreds of leads every single month. Okay, great. How do I follow up with them? Okay. So these are some of the things that I teach, and these are some of the things that I think will be really, really helpful for you as you are either moving through my academy or if you're thinking about it. Okay. So this is, I want to be able to help you even if you're not in my academy. All right. So the first thing is the entire point of your lead strategy, your follow up plan should be to accomplish four things. Okay, let's talk about what those four things are. So, number one, it's to show them the best way to get from point A to point B. And point A is, again, where they're at right now, thinking about it, to point B, which is, okay, I'm going to make the decision. Let's move forward. We're going into escrow. Okay, so point A to point B. For buyers, point A is I don't have a house and or I'm not happy with the house that I'm in now. And then point B would be my dream home. For sellers, it's typically their point B is I want to sell this home as fast as possible for as much as possible. That's typically what it's going to be for most sellers. Okay. So the purpose of your follow up marketing plan is to get them from point A to point B in the simplest way. Okay. So straight line A to B. So that's number one. The second purpose is of your follow-up marketing plan is to actually associate yourself in that process. Okay. So when they're thinking about making a move and they're moving from thinking about it to decide, you want them to think about you when they're ready to decide, because the last thing that you want is to follow up with a lead and then they choose another realtor, right? So you need to be associated and ingrained with that process as they're moving from A to B, the just thinking about it phase to the decision phase. They want them to choose you instead of a competitor. And so the purpose of your follow-up marketing is to insert yourself into that process. Okay. Number three is build trust. Everybody has a natural skepticism towards salespeople. Everyone does. You're no different. And so you need to start breaking down some of those barriers and being able to build trust with people, build relationships with people. And that's not done through these cheesy, ridiculous sales tactics. Like that was for people who met someone, didn't want to bother with building a relationship, so they want to trick someone into a transaction. Those days are over. It's gone. Okay. Rest in peace. It's over. Nowadays, you do need to build a relationship with people. People want an authentic, genuine encounter. And so the best way to do that, again, is not with those cheesy, sleazy sales tactics. It's through actually building relationships. And This needs to be a big priority because of the fact that before hiring you, um, if you're able to help them before they hire you, the chances of them actually hiring you increase significantly. Okay, so provide value and be there for them and nurture those relationships, and they're going to be much more entailed to actually choose you in the long run. And then number four, the fourth purpose of the follow up marketing plan is to make your job easier. Okay, do yourself a favor by conditioning their mindset before they buy. All right. So for sellers and for buyers, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are telling them about the process, preparing them, setting expectations in your marketing, your encounters, your phone calls, your follow up, all of the stuff that you're doing, your social media posts, because your life will be so much easier when a buyer fully understands the process of buying a house and when a seller has all of their expectations managed during the sale of their house. So make your life easier by conditioning their mindset before they begin to work with you. This works well, by the way. We have a lot of students who are getting just come list me leads. And the reason how they're doing that is because they're breaking down barriers in their content marketing strategy. So essentially, what they're doing is they're creating YouTube videos, they're on social media, they're going live, and they have a blog, they have all of this social proof, they have testimonials, they have all of the stuff that they're doing, they document all the processes. And what's happening is people are following them for 6 months on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. Then they pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I've been following you for 6 months. Can you come and list my house?" They're not going on listing presentations. They're not doing the whole dog and pony show. They're not competing for listings or leads. They're basically just getting come list me and I need your help leads, which is amazing because that interview started 6 months ago and they broke down all those barriers for the last 6 months so that way when the time comes, the lead is ready to move forward and that's it. They've done their job. Okay. Your listing presentation started 6 months ago, my friend, 6 months ago. All right. So, an effective follow up plan, it needs to entail creating content that educates people. And what I mean by that is like, what does point A look like for a buyer? What does point A look like for a seller? What does point B look like for a buyer? What does point B look like for a seller? You also want to talk about how do they get from point A to point B in the simplest, fastest way possible, right? How do they get from just thinking about it to yes, we've made a decision and we're so excited and we're happy and we have our house. What does that process look like? You also want to talk about overcoming the natural skepticism that they have for the entire real estate process. You want to talk about overcoming the natural skepticism that they have for working with you. Okay. You, at the end of the day, are a salesperson and a marketer, and no one trusts you off the bat. So you have to work on breaking down those natural barriers. Okay. Now, you can do this through several ways. The ways that I like are going to be online because online lead nurture is 100% scalable, which means that you have a competitive advantage over everyone else in your market because you know how to not only generate leads at scale, but nurture them at scale and build relationships at scale too. That's huge. Okay. So you can do this through Facebook retargeting ads. That's my favorite. Email marketing, also, that's kind of, they're tied for favorite, to be honest. I love retargeting ads and email. We can also do this through blog posts, YouTube videos, social media, you name it. You want to local Facebook groups. You want to make sure that you're able to do that and follow up with those people as much as possible. So this is what's going to allow you to build relationships for thousands of people at once. Like, again, we're not talking about pushy, sleazy, salesy, cheesy, aggressive marketing tactics. Like, those are over. It's done. The way that you want to market in a modern way is to use content marketing to be able to reach all of your people. And in business, again, you need to leverage every single competitive advantage that you have, and nurturing and generating leads at scale is a huge competitive advantage. The other competitive advantage is that a lot of your competitors, they're not willing to put in the work for the follow up. They're not willing to do the research. They're not willing to get on video. They're not willing to post on social media. They're not willing to learn how to do retargeting ads. So that automatically puts you ahead of them because they're only focused on the 20. You're focused on the 20 and the 80. You're a whole 100% circle of the lead generation and real estate marketing process. Okay. That is a huge competitive advantage in this day and age because it's not easy to follow up with leads like it was back then when you can just send a newsletter or a mailer and people actually open them. Those days are gone too. Okay. So when I first started this show, I'll talk to you about my specific journey. When I first started this show, I had no idea how it was going to affect my bottom line. Zero. I just started because someone said I should. And I'm like, okay, I feel like this is something that I just need to do. I see other people doing it. Let's just give it a try. Now, almost 40 episodes later, and more if you count all the Facebook Lives I did before I actually had a podcast, now I realize like this has affected my bottom line in ways that I could have never thought possible. So let me give you an example. I've been to 20 conferences this year alone. I travel a lot, okay? Every single conference that I have been to, someone has recognized me. And these are not real estate conferences. These are conferences where they have nothing to do with real estate, marketing, just general marketing and business building conferences. And it never fails. So I can't even imagine if I went to an actual real estate conference, what it would be. But I go to like random stuff. I'm a nerd. I love it. I geek out. And without fail, there's always someone who comes up to me and says, I've been following you. I've been following you for weeks, months, years. Like it's crazy. They can tell me what restaurants I went to, Penny, my dog, Howard, my husband, they talk about like special moments in my life that I had actually forgotten about. Okay. These people know me. They like me. They trust me. They remember me. They root for me. It's insane. And it's all because I'm able to build relationships with these people at scale. Now, let me tell you, not one of the people that has come up to me, I have known. They know me and they feel like they know me and they've built a relationship with me, but I don't know them. I don't know who they are. Like most of the time I've introduced myself and they're like, yeah, I know who you are. Like, are you, and I forget, I forget. And that's the kind of position that you want to be in when you have a show, when you're publishing, when you're doing social media, if you have a podcast. Like I don't always recommend doing all of that stuff at once. It's a process. It's a lot. You have to learn how to do it in stages. But when you are consistently publishing content and when you're consistently putting yourself out there in ads and all of those things, and people are seeing you over and over and over and over and over, by the time they are ready to make a move and to list with you or to buy with you, they will already know you. That's why a lot of my students aren't going on listing presentations anymore. That's why they're not competing for leads and competing for listings and doing all the stuff that we've had to do historically in the past. They're not doing any of that because everyone knows them in their community and they've built strong bonds with people in their community that cannot be broken. Okay. So this is what the name of the game is moving forward. Now, the power of building relationships at scale is the fact that you can build so many relationships with thousands of people in your community at once. And even though you may not know them, like I said, they know you and it feels very intimate and like it feels like an amazing, amazing relationship. And that is what you want. Okay. That's what you want. I teach this in my academy and every day students, they always tell me all the time, like, I cannot believe all of the follow-up that's happening, and I cannot believe how many leads I've generated and how many transactions I've closed just because of my follow-up strategies. Last week, Krista, she's an agent in Coquitlam, Canada. She told me that she got the biggest sale of her life, a high-end luxury listing, the biggest sale of her life from Instagram. And it wasn't because she went after this person once and forgot about her. She followed up with this person for a year on Instagram. No phone numbers, no email addresses, no messaging bots, no texts, no videos. Just 1 year follow up on Instagram DMs, biggest sale of her entire life. So anyone that tells you that Instagram doesn't work, that social media doesn't work, that follow up doesn't work, it's because they haven't tried it and they don't know what they're doing. That's the reality of the situation. They have no idea what they're doing. Okay. It works. You don't need phone numbers. You don't need to buy or die or to honey badger people into a sale or trick people into transactions. You don't need any of that. If you have a phone, and a social media app like Facebook or Instagram, that's good enough. You got it. Okay. So, and also anyone who says that you can't get luxury listings in social media isn't doing it right either. I'm just going to throw that out there because that's the truth. Okay. So the bad news is that when you only go after the 20%, you're losing 80% of your revenue and leaving 80% of your revenue on the table. Okay. The good news is that there's more ways to follow up with people like Instagram DMs than we've ever had. Like I said, you don't need a phone number. You don't need any of that stuff. You can follow with people in multiple creative ways if you know what you're doing. All right. If you do not know what you're doing, I would encourage you to go to my free masterclass. Start there. It's communityinfluencer.com/masterclass. Once again, that is communityinfluencer.com/masterclass. In that masterclass, what I teach you guys to do is I teach you how to sell 5 or more homes per month. And a lot of my students are doing that. They are crushing it in all of their local communities. And if you are interested in getting to your first or your next 6 figures in real estate, start with this masterclass. I can't stress it enough. Okay. communityinfluencer.com/masterclass. Now, if you're watching this on social media, what I want you to do is if you have questions, if you have comments or anything like that, please post them below. We look at every single comment that comes in. We make sure that if you guys have questions, we always come back to these videos. We always make sure that we answer your questions. And I love, love, love talking to all of you guys. I love having conversations and engaging with you guys. So it makes my day. So comment below, and I look forward to opening up a conversation and talking with you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do post on Facebook, Instagram, IGTV, YouTube, the podcast, Pinterest, the blog. We're everywhere. Okay. All you have to do is go to your favorite platform, type in community influencer, and you will find my face there. Okay. And please, again, be sure to subscribe if you're not already. Leave me a review or a comment. And I look forward to talking with you next week. Bye, guys.